Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Chiranjit Mishra and today we are going to discuss news today, July 8th. So there are 5 main news, 8 quick updates and 1 place in the news which is Costa Rica. As is customary, let's quickly go through the headlines. The first main news is India-Indonesia strategic partnership, which we'll discuss at the end. After covering all the main news. Then UDI SC Plus report 2025-26, that will give you the entire educational scenario of India. Third, World Investment Report, another report which shows where does India stand in terms of inward FDI and outward FDI, foreign direct investment. Next, human placenta on chip technology. Many researchers are trying to conduct researches related to the fetal growth and the transfer of material between the mother and the child. So placenta is a temporary organ, you know. It's very difficult to use real placenta, that's why this technology. Next, global ethanol blending practices. We'll get to know why Brazil is doing really well. India can emulate Brazil. Next, quick updates. Strengthening India's toy ecosystem. India wants to be a global supplier or exporter of toys. Next, performance grading index 2.0. This is also related to education sector in India. Third is PM Setu scheme expansion, which wants to upgrade or strengthen the capacity of ITIs, Industrial Training Institutes. Okay. Industrial Technology Institute also you can say, ITIs, where people get trained from different engineering fields and they get diploma, not degrees. Next, Tribex. This is an initiative by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Mizoram's designated repository. We'll get to know what exactly this repository is under Biological Diversity Act. Next, Prambanan Temple Conservation, which is related to the visit of Honorable Prime Minister of India to Indonesia. The second last quick update is Mission Drishti, and the last is Guwahati Declaration by or under BRICS. The place in the news, as I said in the beginning, is Costa Rica. First news, World Investment Report 2026. As you know, here the focus will be on FDI. There are 2 types of investments, FII or FPI, portfolio or institutional, and then there is FDI, foreign direct investment. Okay. So here we'll get to know, because FDI is a more stable source of investment, as you know, a more stable source of investment, FDI. Okay. Here the investor gets substantial amount of equity, more than 10%, and also part of the management. Okay. So FDI is always a stabler form of investment than FII. Any FII investment that is more than 10% automatically becomes FDI. And once an FDI, always an FDI, the rule you need to remember. So as you know, countries or investors from different countries, they will invest in your country only if they think the business is going to prosper. And to have a very attractive business environment, every government puts in efforts. And there are also other factors which decide or mold the minds of the investors. Should I invest in this country or not? Okay. So this report says in the last year how investment has been disproportionate across the world. And the most important factors which molded the minds of the investors are artificial intelligence and semiconductor and other cutting edge technologies. Mostly artificial intelligence. Okay. जहाँ पे AI वहाँ पे पैसा. So the investors, I hope, yeah, AI. So you know, AI related research is taking place in the West and only in the developed world. South Korea supplying semiconductor in the form of Samsung Electronics, Japan and Europe. So West plus these Far East countries. That is why the investment has been very disproportionate. Only 20 countries, you'll be surprised to know, let me remove everything. Only 20 countries received 80% of the total FDI. So India used to be an attractive center for investment, FDI, but now India stands at number 11. Okay, in terms of attracting FDI. Okay, so let's take a look at the various points. Global investment became increasingly concentrated. Concentrated here means few countries getting most of the FDI, other countries are left behind. You need to remember these points for your mains exam. Okay, disproportionate investment. Very good line. Okay. Next, global FDI rose during 2025. See, the total amount has risen and it's close to, I guess if I'm not wrong, $1.6 trillion. Can you imagine? Okay, this is like what percentage of India's GDP? Close to 1/3. Okay, we're not a $5 trillion economy yet. So this has been the total investment, increases 6%, increases 6%. And FDI in the developed economies grew by 11%, but here you can see, look at the developing countries, only 2%. And as I said, the West, which includes Europe, USA, Canada, and some of the farthest countries, they have been the most attractive destinations for foreign investment. AI infrastructure attracted major investment, data centers also, everything related to AI. It's AI, the technology model building, that requires a lot of research. Then the compute power means you, without the electronics, we say GPU, TPU, they are very complex, they have very complex architecture. So that also requires a lot of investment. Only AI related companies have prospered. India ranked 11, as I said, in terms of inward FDI, India के अंदर कितना आया, in terms of outward, कितना FDI India ने भेजा, Indian investors investing abroad. In terms of that, India is at number 18. So I hope you understood all the important facts. 6% increase, 1.6 trillion, and FDI has been concentrated. The growth of FDI has been concentrated. So that's all you need to know. How can developing countries compete with the developed world? Definitely you have to make your economy more attractive, and that can be done through focus on niche GVC opportunities, global value chain. If, for example, China, why somebody will invest in China? Because China is one of the largest supplier of critical minerals, not just extraction or having mines, but also processing. Similarly, REs, okay, electronics, separate from Taiwan. Improve digital connectivity, of course, internet access, building renewable energy infrastructure. Only then countries will find your country very attractive for investment. Build quality physical infrastructure, road, electricity, everything matters. Okay, if otherwise business will be affected and nobody would like to invest in sick companies or sick economy. Develop skilled workforce. That means it should be skilled, plus if it's cheap, again it will be an attractive investment. Offer performance-based incentives, link incentives with value addition. So value addition is very important, okay, because an economy grows not on the basis of the raw material it supplies. Value addition matters a lot. At every stage some value is added. So that makes your economy multi-layered. Reward employment generation, encourage technology transfer. So these are the points that you need to add. How, even if a question comes, how India can become a more attractive destination, you can include these points. UDISC plus report, this is related to education, okay, school level education. We'll take a look at where does India stands in terms of education, number of schools. So you'll be surprised to know India is the largest education system in the world. Okay, 15 lakh schools, and it comprises both government and private schools. So UDISC plus, the full form is Unified District Information System. Data is collected at the district level, and then we go forward state level also by accumulating data from different districts. Operated by the Ministry of Education, covers Indian school education, 14.67. So I rounded it off. I said 15 lakh. So there's nothing wrong if I write approximately 15 lakh. Okay. There is some problem with the board. That's why. So approximately 15 lakh. Okay. 24 crore students. That means 240 million students padhte hain. So that is as big as any of the other population wise big countries. 24 crore. We have nearly 150 crore people in our country, and of that you can see nearly 17%. Teachers exceeded 1.02 crore. The strength increased 8.3%. This thing you need not memorize, just memorize these data. Teachers, number of teachers in the country 1 crore, and number of students 24 crore, number of schools. Next would be pupil to teacher ratio. This is something in which we have fared really well, because as per the national education policy it should be 1:30. एक teacher होना चाहिए per 30 students. But you look at the ratios, it's much healthier, much better than the prescribed one. Foundational stage. So as you know, we gave up this 10 plus 2 plus 3 pattern. It was replaced by 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. These many years students have to spend in school. Okay, so this is foundational, the first 5. Then this is preparatory, 3, 3, and then last year, senior secondary, okay, or secondary school. That is your last 4. So you can look at the ratios. You can simply memorize. School infrastructure, computer-enabled schools reach 70%. This is a good line. See, don't need to memorize 69.9. It's a very odd number. Simply say nearly 70% of the schools in India are computer-enabled. You can differ by, I mean, this is not a big error, very small margin. Okay, 70% of the schools in India are computer-enabled, and 99% of the schools have girls' toilets. This is as per the report. Always mention the name of the report. Otherwise, they may think you are just trying to trump up numbers. Okay, don't add fabricated data. Always mention the report. So that's it. I think many important points have been covered. That much is enough. Yes, sorry. This is also a very nice fact. Nearly 55% of the teachers in India are female teachers. That means it stands for women empowerment. Not just from the education point of view. If a question is related to women empowerment or the contribution of women to India's economy, you can say 55% of the teachers are women. All other facts you can simply ignore. Placenta on a chip. As you know, placenta is a temporary organ which is formed during pregnancy. It serves as a natural barrier, a protective layer between the mother and the fetus. Okay, and it exists only during pregnancy. It's an organ. Okay, so it's a very complex organ, and it is not just like its composition is not fixed. It contains of many lipoproteins, many materials, and it does not allow the mixing of the mother's blood with the child's, but it serves as a permeable layer for gases or gaseous exchange, just like CO2 plus O2, for transfer of hormones, food and waste. Okay. Now researchers were trying to study placenta. It's a temporary organ. You cannot study by asking some lady to volunteer. It's a very risky thing. Okay, because it's definitely going to use invasive technique, may not be safe for the child and the mother. At the same time, you cannot use other animals, because other animals' placenta differ from that of human beings. So there is one way to create artificial placenta in the lab and use some monitoring technology. So that is what the news is all about. There are certain cons. You cannot get the exact composition of placenta, and even if you get, you need to remember that placenta within a normal real woman, it also changes, okay, during pregnancy. So lab created placenta or placental composition will remain static. It's very difficult to change its composition. So with all the limitations, we have created this fabulous technology, placenta on a chip. Okay, so placenta on a chip means there will be biological samples backed by electronics. Okay, so that is all you can say. And this is a good theme from the point of view of science and technology, GS paper 3. Developed by ICMR, Mumbai plus IIT Bombay, the collaboration between these two bodies. Indigenous placenta on a chip developed, which is actually remarkable development. Okay, in terms of if you want to cite an example in your essay paper or GS paper 3, you can cite this. Along with, for example, some people say CAR therapy. Now you can go beyond that. CAR therapy has become, although chimeric antigen receptor therapy, it has become a very common example. You can add something extra. Enable stage-specific pregnancy modeling, okay? Because pregnancy is very difficult, and to study pregnancy, you need to study placental samples, okay? Supports gestational diabetes research also. So this is one of the very popular forms of diabetes. Women who never had any, who had very moderate sugar level throughout their life, they develop diabetes during pregnancy, which is called gestational diabetes. Okay, so placenta is a temporary organ, as I said in the beginning. transfers nutrients and oxygen, removes fetal waste products, and about the chip, miniature devices using living human cells, mimics human organ function. That is how the chip has been made. Nobody is going to ask you about this particular theme कि इसके बारे में बताओ in the mains exam. They may ask you about how India is faring in cutting edge technologies, okay, या फिर how India is leading technology researches in the field of biotechnology. There you can cite this as an example. Combines tissue engineering techniques. So components, of course, now you know they need to have blood capillaries and veins. How will you manufacture that? You have to use some artificial techniques. So microscopic fluid channels, these will serve like blood vessels, okay, for fluid transfer, or lymphs, okay. Use porous polymer membranes. For example, there are many permeable membranes. How will you create? So polymer will be used instead of lipoprotein or other materials. Incorporates living human cells. Significance: reduces animal testing dependence. Not just to stop harming animals, but also to avoid getting erroneous results. Enables personalized medicine research, supports disease modeling. So these can be easily understood and memorized. Global ethanol blending practices, it has been in the news, we have covered it several times. So again we will try to quickly go through and see how Brazil is doing well and why it is doing well. As you know, Brazil is the largest producer of sugarcane, and mostly ethanol is produced from sugarcane, wheat or maize. Sugarcane is one of the popular ways, and sugarcane is a water guzzling crop. That's why many people are complaining. One is how your vehicles are not equipped to handle this mixing of ethanol with normal petrol or diesel. Second, the production of sugarcane. It's a water guzzling crop. So is it a wise way to go ahead with ethanol mixing? Let's take a look at the same. India has already achieved 20% ethanol blending. Many people are complaining there are so many you can say reels, shorts, videos on YouTube and other social media channels about how people are sharing their experiences, okay. So the thing is that it's a cleaner source of energy, no doubt in that. Its octane value is much higher than normal petrol. Octane value is a measure of the fuel efficiency. Octane value, okay, measure of fuel efficiency. And octane value of ethanol is much higher than that of petrol. It's a cleaner fuel, but that doesn't end the story there. It's a cleaner fuel, but you cannot use ethanol fuel just like that. You need to have adequate technology or commensurate level of technology. The existing Indian vehicles, they cannot tolerate high level of mixing. And those vehicles which existed prior to say 2024-25, only some vehicles like Honda, it made its vehicles like capable of tolerating mixing level of 80:20. That means E20, 20% ethanol by volume and 80% petrol. इतना तक झेल लेगा, लेकिन बाकी के गाड़ियों के बारे में क्या है? Okay, so that is definitely going to affect your combustion. And recently there was an article, the internal combustion engine or IC or internal combustion technology, it has got certain limits. You cannot modify it beyond a particular level. So if you need, and the article also suggested going for EV, electric vehicles, that will take some time. So in the meantime, what can be done? We can actually take a gradual approach. Instead of directly raising it beyond 20 or making it 25 or 27, we can take a limited approach and flexi fuel. So that is what Brazil has been doing. In India, it has been slightly rapid or abrupt. That is why people are complaining. So India achieved 20% ethanol blending target. It started in 2003-04. We started with 10%. Ethanol is alcohol-based renewable biofuel, and it's also good from the point of view of reducing our oil imports. अब हम oil के ज़्यादा 20% अगर ethanol use कर लिए, that will reduce our imports from the economic point of view. Okay. Produced from sugarcane, maize, and wheat. Ethanol has higher octane than petrol, as I mentioned in the beginning. Ethanol absorbs moisture, causing engine corrosion. This is something which is very challenging. So these are 10 key points there are negatives and positives. This is a negative. It absorbs moisture. It is hygroscopic. It is hygroscopic in nature. Anything that is hygroscopic, HYGRO, that absorbs moisture, which is not good for the engine. Older vehicles face greater compatibility issues, जो जिसके बारे में complaints आ रहे हैं न्यूज में. Consumers lack multiple fuel blend choices. There are no options, they are fixed. If you go to a particular petrol pump, it will say कि ये E20 है या E27 है या E30 है. So you don't have any choice. They can ask you by paying additional amount, okay, you need to give variable prices, but that option is not available. E20 may reduce vehicle mileage. Sugarcane based ethanol increases water stress. So these are the negatives that you can add. Positives, you understood what? Cleaner fuel, oil import reduction. Okay. Brazil's phased model offers useful lessons. How Brazil did. Older vehicle compatibility, consumer choice reduced. Brazil is the global leader in ethanol use with E27 as its standard petrol blend and over 80% of new vehicles being flex fuel. See, the vehicles in Brazil were prepared. In India, the vehicles are not prepared. Okay, many people purchased cars say 5 years ago, 10 years ago. They're still there. Okay, they have not met their expiry date. So how will these vehicles tolerate mixing level of this high ratios? Capable of running on E27, E30 or pure hydrous ethanol. So Brazil is something that we can take the example of. First, we need to come up with flexi-fuel vehicles or flex fuel vehicles. Next news, India-Indonesia partnership, international relations. So Honorable Prime Minister has started his visit to the Indo-Pacific region, starting with Indonesia, then Australia and New Zealand. Comprehensive economic partnership, that is what the current situation is with Indonesia. Okay, and the trade is close to $27 billion. Okay, this is the second largest partner, trading partner of India among the ASEAN countries. Now, why do we need Indonesia? Just 2 news ago, we discussed the importance of critical minerals, and it is a good storage house or abode of critical minerals. And also India and Indonesia share a cultural linkage. That is why it's a very important country for us. And security of the Indo-Pacific region. Okay, because China's growing or China's emergence in that region is as big a threat for Indonesia as it is for India. Okay, so let's take a look at the relations. What agreements have been signed between the two countries? Comprehensive economic partnership. You remember that is the current status. It's beyond trade. Defense agreements, okay, clean technology agreements. So comprehensive economic partnership, and it was signed in 2018. Please remember the name. With New Zealand we have free trade agreement, but in the case of Indonesia it's comprehensive. Why I mentioned New Zealand? Because the next visit will include Australia and New Zealand. Comprehensive economic partnership. So BrahMos missile exported and approved. BrahMos is a cruise missile. Okay, it's technology the contributed by Russia and India. Okay, so Astra systems to be supplied. Again, it's air to air. Indonesia Open Network launched based on India's ONDC architecture. Not only one player will rule, there will be many players that will rule. Okay, that is going to democratize the e-commerce platforms. MOU on rare earth magnet. This is what India is looking for. Strengthen critical mineral supply chains. So this is important for both India and Indonesia. Indonesia will be economically affected, and India's strategic approach to collaborate with Indonesia, because we want to diversify our supply chains. We should not rely upon China only. This is good for the entire world. India to supply 100 tons of wheat. DWR 162 wheat seeds. Okay, that is good for the long-term food security of Indonesia. Long-term cultural diplomacy. PM received Bintang Adipura award. If a question is asked in the prelims exam, Bintang Adipura will say it's Indonesia. Then Prambanan temple conservation initiated. So we'll cover that in the one of the quick updates. So this temple, it has all the three important deities related to Hindu pantheon, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar. They are worshipped there, and it's a 9th century temple. So for the conservation of the same, India also going to contribute. 2027. So if this question is asked, Prambanan temple, you can simply say it's located in Indonesia. 2027 declared Tagore Devantar year. Okay, and shared Buddhist and Hindu heritage. So Southeast Asia has many Hindu elements or India elements prevalent there, starting from the names, their deities, their pantheons. There is a lot of similarity between the culture of Southeast Asia with India. You can also look at the names: Kuala Lumpur, Singapore. Okay, maritime civilizational ties. Around 1.5 lakh people of Indian origin lives in Indonesia. So that is about the diasporic strength. Now let's take a look at the place in the news, which is Costa Rica, a country in Central America and very strategically located, which is a part of the landmass connecting North America with South America. Okay, so this is North America here till, and this is South America. Costa Rica lies somewhere in the middle. San Jose is the capital of Costa Rica, and it is in the news because of India's Joint Economic and Trade Committee. So this is a collaboration between India and Costa Rica. Tropical country, as you can see, of course, it's close to the Tropic of Cancer. Total area is this much. And Nicaragua to the north. Tropical means anything between the two tropical lines, Capricorn or Cancer and Equator. So that is your tropical region. Teraba River is the longest and the largest river. You just need to know San Jose, the capital, and its bordering countries. Here Nicaragua and Panama. So from the point of view of Panama Canal also, and the two water bodies surrounding it are Caribbean Sea and Pacific Ocean. So you can say this side Atlantic and this side Pacific. Okay, so that's it. And trade with India is very less, in million, it's not billion, of course it's not possible, close to $400 million. And Costa Rica, I think, has always been critical of India's development related to the expansion of UNSC. It's a part of Coffee Club, I'm not sure, you can check. Quick updates. India's toy story. So India wants to be a good solid exporter of toys. China is, I think, dominating the market currently, but India's toys are gaining ground. India is also has a national action plan for toys, and recent context is 17 Toy Biz International B2B Expo, just like toy exhibition taking place in Bharat Mandapam, toy fair. Okay, so that is the recent context. So you can see how the market has grown from 152.7 million in 2017-18 से अभी दुगना हो गया, more than 2 times, 384.7 million. And national action plan is there. Toy exports have surpassed toy imports, and India's export destination include the US, the Middle East. That's it. So it's a good thing. You can say, how can India diversify its export market? You can mention this particular as a separate sector. Performance Grading Index 2.0 reports. Okay, so this is again the reports of the schools and colleges, schools, how they have fared at the district level and at the state level, done by the Ministry of Education. This is what you just need to know, and based on 1000 points and 70 indicators. So if nothing is mentioned, performance grading index is asked in the UPSC prelims exam, you can say it's related to the performance assessment of the schools and done by, of course, Ministry of Education. It may be a two statement question. Sometimes UPSC asks questions based on very lesser known themes. So 1000 points, 70 indicators. If you can, then memorize. All other data actually are the same. We have already discussed in the USIDE Plus report. There are 15 lakh schools, 24 crore students, and nearly 1 crore teachers. PM Setu. First of all, what is PM Setu? What does it aim at? It aims at strengthening ITIs, the Industrial Training Institutes in India, and it is going to take a cluster based approach. Okay, so all the ITIs in the country, they will be divided in the basis of clusters. For example, Odisha, Jharkhand one, or Rajasthan, Gujarat another. Okay, and recently this much amount, 1,300 crore has been invested for upgrading 5 industrial training institutes. Okay, 5 industrial training clusters. There are 200 such clusters. If this succeeds, they will try to replicate this model across all the 200 clusters. They will start with a pilot basis, focusing on 5 clusters. So PM Setu, Pradhan Mantri Skilling and Employability Transformation, is related to strengthening and upgradation of ITIs in the country. Next, Tribex, launched by Ministry of Tribal Affairs. It's a digital platform for tribal learning and cultural preservation. At the same time, it's also going to serve as a database of many ancient or about to get lost tribal languages, just like Santhali, and that too in its Olcheki script. It will also provide degrees and certificates for various tribal related schemes, tribal language, tribal culture. There will be 20 free certificate courses, and with a plan to expand it to 100. 5 UGC recognized 1-year hybrid diploma programs. You don't need to remember this much. Bus, Tribex, of course, it's an initiative of the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, very much evident from the name. But aim kya hai? To serve as a digital platform for tribal learning and cultural preservation. That's it. और कुछ याद नहीं रखना. Mizoram's Natural History Museum. So this museum, as you know, Mizoram is a northeastern country, and just 2 or 3 classes ago, we discussed that India has 4 biodiversity hotspots. The Himalayas. I have this question for you. You can try to answer if possible. How many biodiversity hotspots does India have? Then we'll discuss this news. You can take a moment. If you know the answer, you can post. The first is the Himalayas. The Himalayas. Then Western Ghats plus Sri Lanka. Of course, Western Ghats only in India. Then Sundaland, Andaman Nicobar. Then this Indo-Burma. So this Mizoram site is very close to the Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot, and it's a designated repository under the BDI Act, Biological Diversity Act. So what does this repository do? It actually collects research materials. They may be plants, fungi or bacteria, exotic animal, floral and faunal species. They have to be recorded there. That is the job of a repository. So this is the 21st repository. Okay. Prambanan temple we have already discussed in Indonesia, and India is going to put in effort or collaboratively work with Indonesia to conserve this temple. It was announced during PM Modi's Indonesia visit. It's a 9th century Hindu temple complex dedicated to the Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Okay, and among the Southeast Asia's largest Hindu temple complexes. A good theme can be GS paper 1, art and culture. Ki how Southeast Asia showcases its cultural linkages with India, critically examine, elaborate. You can cite examples apart from Angkor Wat temples, okay, and the Srivijaya Empire, links with the Chola empires and Chola emperors. So you can cite this as an example. Mission Drishti. Mission Drishti is a private sector mission which contains optical camera along with synthetic aperture radar. Okay, it is actually placed in a satellite, and this is the first such initiative by a private player, not ISRO. Remember, and the name of that company is Galaxy, not Galaxy, it's Galaxy. Okay, so what happened? Mission Drishti, this satellite lost its ability to communicate because of solar storm. Okay, so that is the news, and it's lost its communication ability. India's largest privately developed Earth observation satellite. It has both optical cameras, जिसमें light लगा हुआ है, and दूसरा synthetic aperture radar. That means it will emit radio waves and the reflected waves will be studied. Last is Guwahati Declaration. Just need to remember the purpose. It's related to combating illicit drug trafficking and organized crime. And it was signed under the BRICS countries because India is already taking the chair of this particular through Narcotics Control Bureau. So you just need to know 2 facts. Guwahati Declaration matlab illicit drug trade ko combat karna hai, because you know North is very close to what you call the which is called the Golden Triangle. Okay, which includes Myanmar and Cambodia, sometimes Laos, and also Thailand sometimes. So that region is famous for opium trade. Okay, so and you know it's very sensitive because a very small corridor separates mainland India from the northeast. That is why this declaration was very important, so that countries can work in a collaborative manner. And China is also part of BRICS, so India and China can also collaborate. It's a good step in the right direction. So that's all about today's news today. You can make the most of your current affairs preparation by subscribing to Digital Current Affairs. Now 6 questions will flash on your screen. Do take them. Wish you all the very best.